but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
All praises. Thank everybody for being here today. Thank the Most High for another feast day, for the Feast of Purim. Mostly everybody was on the line this week. So we're going to go into a little bit of Esther before we start festivities. But thank the Most High for today. Just thanking him that we continuing, living our life a certain way. And if you need to get back on the court with the Most High, you need to come back to the commandments and know that this the only way for you. I mean, a lot of people messed up trying to get it the worldly way. So we was kind of going into Haman, and what he was doing to Esther. So we're going to finish that up. But before we go there, let's go to Deuteronomy 28. And let's start at 15. If we could get 7 each. Yes.
Shabbat Shalom, family.
Shabbat Shalom.
We're reading out of the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy Most High, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Blessed shall thou be in the city, and blessed shall thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kine, and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Blessed shall thy be when thou comest in, and blessed shall thy be when they goest out. The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way, and flee before thee 7 ways.
The Lord shall command the blessing upon thee in thy storehouses, and in all that thou settest thine hand unto. And he shall bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. The Lord shall establish thee an holy people unto himself, as he hath sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God, and walk in his ways. And all people of the earth shall see that thou art called by thy name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of thee. And the Lord shall make thee plenteous in goods, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy ground, and in the land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers to give thee. The Lord shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven to give the rain unto thy land in his season, and to bless all the work of thine hand, and thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. And the Lord shall make thee the head, and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath. If that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them. And thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them.
Verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke in all that thou settest thine hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee, until he have consumed thee from off the land, whither thou goest to possess it.
All praises. Let's go to the book of Esther. I'm gonna jump it around a bit. Let's start at Esther chapter 7 and verse. No, let's start at Esther 6 and verse 1.
Everybody there?
Come.
It's the book of Esther, chapter 6 and verse 1. On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of records of the Chronicles, and they were read before the king. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains and keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus. And the king said, What honor and dignity have been done to Mordecai for this? Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, There is nothing done for him. And the king said, Who is in the court? Now Haman was come into the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him. And the king's servant said unto him, Behold, Haman standeth in the court. And the king said, Let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, What shall be done unto the man who the king delighteth to honor? Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom he would the king delight to do honor more than thyself. And Haman answered the king, For the man whom the king delighteth to honor, let the royal appear be brought, which the king useth to wear, and the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown royal which is set upon his head. And let this apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man withal whom the king delighteth to honor, and bring him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaim before him, Thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighteth to honor. Then the king said to Haman, Make haste, and take the apparel and the horse, as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew.
See, Haman thought that he was working a plan, right? And it didn't go in his favor. Let's keep it going.
That sitteth at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken. Then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on the horseback through the street of the city, and proclaimed before him, Thus shall it be done unto the man who the king delighteth to do honor. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate. But Haman hasted to his house mourning, and having his head covered. And Haman told Zeresh his wife and all his friends everything that had befallen him. Then said his wise men and Zeresh his wife unto him, If Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shalt surely fall before him. And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlains, and hasted to bring Haman unto the banquet that Esther had prepared. Chapter 7 and verse 1. So the king Haman came to the banquet with Esther the queen. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, What is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to the half of the kingdom. Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition and my people at my request. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain and to perish.
So check that out. Being even in this nation today, all the traps is not for you to just prosper and keep growing. You know what's going on in the world today. Just to be straightforward, we're not dying fast enough with all the traps that's going on to just destroy you, right? Same thing back then. Keep it going.
But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, Who is he, and where is he, that durst presume in his heart to do so? And Esther said, The adversary and the enemy is the wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, Will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. And Haborna, the one of the chamberlains, said before the king, Behold, also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, Hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. Chapter 8.
No, we don't do it. All right, let's go to the Apocrypha. So we know chapter 9, like we was bringing out earlier this week, where you get the feast of Purim in the last month of the year. That's where we're at. So according to this world, remember in Daniel chapter 7, they think to change times and laws. You're going to know when the new year hits next month, right? The season's going to be different, especially for those that, been around knowing the knowledge of the Most High a little longer. You notice that on his calendar that we go by, which is in the book of Enoch, the seasons change accordingly, right? You're not calling the new year the winter time. Let's go to Esther in the Apocrypha real quick. We could bring that from the top, matter of fact. You want to look up something?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you do.
After Judith. After Tobit, then Judith. And Esther. Mordecai riding around on a horse. Garment up. They wasn't feeling that.
Except for the top.
Yeah. You can even read the left side.
Picking up from the book of Esther and the Apocrypha, and we're going to start with the part of the 10th chapter after the Greek. Then Mordecai said, God hath done these things, for I remember a dream which I saw concerning these matters, and nothing thereof hath failed. A little fountain became a river, and there was light, and the sun, and much water. This river is Esther, whom the king married and made queen. And the two dragons are I and Aman.
Make sure you jot that down. Remember, Esther was royalty after doing this, right? Keep it going.
And the nations were those that were assembled to destroy the name of the Jews.
And the nations were those that were assembled to destroy the name of the Jews. Does anyone remember what nation Haman is from? It's Ammon here, but in the Old Testament, it's Haman. Anyone remember what nation he's from? Someone say something?
Malachi?
Khan, the Amalekites, right? From Esau's lineage. Let's keep it going.
Verse 9. And my nation is this Israel, which cried to God, and were saved. For the Lord hath saved his people, and the Lord hath delivered us from all those evils. And God hath wrought signs and great wonders, which have not been done among the Gentiles.
Let's hold this. Let's go to Isaiah 54 and 17 real quick. Let's get that verse. That's why, you know, everyone's always, when they pull their fear tactics in this country, people always just, that's why the Most High talks about in Revelation, like, those is going to be destroyed for their fearful ways. You know, fear is running you to their traps every time. And you see, look, if you follow the Most High, you don't got to be stressed out like that. Bring that out.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 54 and verse 17. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper.
None of their weapons shall prosper. Let's go back to the book of Esther in the Apocrypha, because we had someone that was on the line this week. That's why we want to make sure that we get to Shabbat and that we actually studying, because they were kind of lost. They didn't know, well, I didn't have that in my book. You know, and they, you know, been knowing the knowledge for a while, some years, and they didn't know that the rest of Esther was in the Apocrypha. So it's important that we stay on the studies so we know these things.
Picking up at verse 9. And my nation is this Israel, which cried to the Most High, and were saved. For the Lord hath saved his people, and the Lord hath delivered us from all those evils. And God hath wrought signs and great wonders, which have not been done among the Gentiles. Therefore hath he made two lots, one for the people of God, and another for all the Gentiles. And these two lots came at the hour and the time and day of judgment before God among all nations.
All nations,
So God remembered his people and justified his inheritance. Therefore those days shall be unto them in the month Adar, the 14th and 15th day of the same month, with an assembly and joy and with gladness before the Most High, according to the generations forever among his people. Chapter 11. In the 4th year of the reign of Ptolemy and Cleopatra, Dositheus, who said he was a priest and Levite, and Ptolemy, his son, brought the epistle of Purim, which they said was the same, and that Lysimachus, the son of Ptolemy, that was in Jerusalem, had interpreted it in the 2nd year of the reign of Artaxerxes the Great, in the 1st day of the month Nisan. Mordecai, the son of Jairus, the son of Simi, the son of Kasai.
What captivity is this? Huh? Sure? We're gonna bet your dinner on it? Yep, that's right. Keep going.
Mordecai of the tribe of Benjamin had a dream, who was a Jew, and dwelt in the city of Susa, a great man, being a servitor in the king's court. He was also one of the captives which Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, carried from Jerusalem with Jeconias, king of Judea, and this was his dream.
Because remember, Persia went and destroyed Babylon, right? All right, keep it going.
Behold, a noise of a tumult, with thunder and earthquakes and uproar in the land. And behold, two great dragons came forth ready to fight, and their cry was great. And at their cry all nations were prepared to battle, that they might fight against the righteous people. And lo, a day of darkness and obscurity, tribulation and anguish, affliction and great uproar upon the earth.
Remember in 2nd Esdras, the dragons of Arabia. So just speaking of that future prophecy where you see the Saudis is right there with the kings of Edom, right, today. So just a lot of these things is just putting these precepts together. Let's keep it going.
Verse 9. And the whole righteous nation was troubled, fearing their own evils, and were ready to perish. Then they cried unto the Most High, and upon their cry, as it were from a little fountain, was made a great flood, even much water. The light and the sun rose up, and the lowly were exalted, and devoured the glorious. Now, when Mordecai, who had seen this dream, and what God had determined to do, was awake, he bare this dream in mind, and until night by all means was desirous to know it.
Let's go into the next chapter.
And Mordecai took his rest in the court with Gabbatha and Thara and 2 eunuchs of the king and keepers of the palace. And he heard their devices and searched out their purposes, and learned that they were about to lay hands upon Artaxerxes the king. And so he certified the king of them. Then the king examined the 2 eunuchs, and after that they had confessed it, they were strangled. And the king made a record of these things, and Mordecai also wrote thereof. So the king commanded Mordecai to serve in the court, and for this he rewarded him. Howbeit, Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, who was in great honor with the king, sought to molest Mordecai and his people because of the 2 eunuchs of the king.
So let's just go into an overview how he was looking to destroy Israel. I know everyone was like, huh? You trying to take something? Go to Esther chapter 9. It's talking about what Haman was doing. So the day of Purim is a what? Let's see if we know. What is Purim about? Anybody?
We just read it.
Yeah, but we're
Jews
going to
not
see if
being
people
slaughtered.
comprehend something.
Saving the Jews from being slaughtered.
By
Haman.
Khan. Let's get Esther 19 through 21. Or 9 through 21. 9:19 through 21.
It's the book of Esther, chapter 9 and verse 19. Therefore the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day, and of sending portions one to another. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto the Jews that were in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar, and the 15th day of the same yearly, as the days wherein the Jews restored from their enemies, rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy, and from the mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another, and gifts to the poor. And the Jews undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them, because Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the enemy of all the Jews, had devised against the Jews to destroy them, and had cast pur, that is, the lot, to consume them and to destroy them. But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked devices, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows.
Last verse.
Wherefore they called these days Purim, after the name of Pur. Therefore, for all the words of this letter, and that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come unto them, the Jews ordained and took upon them, and upon their seed, and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days according to their writing, and according to their appointed time every year.
So as we see, remember we was going into Pur on Thursday about it being a lot. He was casting a lot. This is a plot against Israel. So with that, family, we got the quiz on Leviticus. but we're gonna pray out and bless the food, and then however y'all gonna deliver the food. I'm tired. I've been up since 5. I've been sick this week.
Communion also.
Yeah, we're gonna pray out. We're gonna go through the verses. All right. Praise the Most High.